Today I have my friend Jonna on, and she is out of Boise, Idaho, and I'm really excited to have her come on and share kind of what she's been going through. So thank you, Jonna, for coming on the podcast today.
My pleasure.
So why don't you tell everybody kind of about who you are and a little bit about your journey, kind of how you got started in real estate, because that's what you do. And then just kind of walk us through where you're at now.
Absolutely. And thanks again for having me on, Melissa. I'm so excited about you building up this platform to help other people. And I know I've gained a lot of insight from you as a friend, and this will be fun to see this all play out. And this is a great opportunity to talk through some things here. My journey in business, in real estate specifically, started about 17 years ago. My husband and I started investing in rental properties and did light buy and hold rental property investing until 2013, when I got my license to become a real estate agent, and have been full-time as a licensed agent since 2013. And I currently have a small boutique real estate team with 3 licensed agents, a marketing manager and listing coordinator, and a transaction manager. And we're based right here in Boise, and our target is really residential homes in Ada County, which is Boise and surrounds.
Awesome. So I'm hearing, I know we talked about this before, but a lot of people moving to Boise from California, and mostly, right?
California, absolutely. That's our number one state, I would say, but also specifically, even more so through COVID, areas in the Pacific Northwest, more populated cities, Portland and Seattle. Even we have people coming in from Chicago this weekend. So there's been a lot of outlying areas.
Oh, wow. That's exciting.
It is exciting. We're excited to share how incredible Boise is.
Nice. I need to go to Boise because I've never been. But now that I'm hearing all this about it, it's kind of like, oh, I need to check that out.
Idaho and Texas, they've got some things in common. And we kind of have that don't fence me in mentality up here as well.
So I'd fit right in.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. So let's kind of deep dive into what's going on with you. What is something that you feel like you're struggling with right now in your business?
It is, there's always, as entrepreneurs, there's always multiple things that we're questioning how we can do better, and, what's the right direction to go with your business. And I think if I would pinpoint one thing that I'd like to chat through today is I've gotten my business to a certain point, and I feel very blessed to be established in the real estate industry. And I have a good volume of business coming in, but I've been actively working to grow my real estate team and really the business side of things. And now that it's gone larger than just Jonna Weber, I'm needing to leverage and to scale. And I think maybe one of the biggest struggles I'm facing in my mind is the name is Jonna Weber Real Estate, and people are coming to me related to all of their services they need, which I absolutely love. But in order to scale and to meet my long-term goals, I think that I'm best served looking at everything from a little bit higher level and working more on the business versus in the business, and how to transition so that it's a normal and natural thing for my clients, our clients, to be with the team on the day-to-day transactional stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Totally. So, what I feel like you're saying then is you want to be at that higher level. So you don't want to be so much like hands-on with the customers. You just want to be more of a like facilitator, I guess, kind of just overseeing everything and making sure that the clients are satisfied, but not being so hands-on with them, like in the day-to-day. Is that
pretty much? Yeah. I mean, I struggle even saying yes to that because it's a very much it's a quality control thing, and I take it very, very personally, and we pride ourselves in having the highest level of service. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things we've been working on is our systems and processes to make sure that each client, I know, yay! Each client has as positive and smooth experience as possible. And that's very, very important. And now that I'm building a team, that it's a work in progress, but it just, that trust is there more and more. I need that quality control there, but I know for me and my strengths, I am best served looking at the bigger picture and making sure that I'm possibly coaching and mentoring those agents to make sure that those transactions are as perfect as possible. But I'm best served in that role versus, negotiating a home inspection for hours, that sort of thing on a regular basis. It just doesn't enable me to grow like I think the company should be growing.
Right. Okay. So, I'm going to ask some questions that kind of guide where I'm coming up with some solutions to that. One of them is, so you said you have systems and processes in place. How much have you vetted those? Like, are you at a point where you would be comfortable handing off things to other people, like knowing that as long as you follow this process exactly, this is the end result? Or is there still room for, like, not sure if that process works exactly right yet? I'm not sure if I can hand that off completely yet. I still need to work on that, or kind of where are you at with what that looks like?
I would say some are better than others. We have been working really hard on systemizing our process for working with buyers and working with sellers and ensuring a positive outcome for every transaction. Every, as you know, in real estate, every transaction is a little different. We're always learning something, including myself. And so there's everyone, I swear, every time I'm like, oh, we're going to write that in because that's a possibility. And it's this obscure thing. And I think my team probably rolls their eyes going, Jonna, come on, that's not going to happen. But I'll be like, no, it really did just happen. So I think, but we're really working. I feel good about having that, even for myself, because if I'm working specifically, I forget too. Our market is very fast and furious right now, and things happen quickly. Mm-hmm. So that is definitely a work in progress, but I feel like we're about 90% there. The biggest thing right now where I feel like there's a little bit of where I'm the bottleneck, I would say, is lead generation. Because leads are coming to me,
okay,
my name, to my email address, and they've read my reviews, they've heard about me. I'm the kind of the face, I do the marketing, which I love. I absolutely love that. And I love meeting new clients and new people. And it gives me energy. So what I typically do is I have that initial conversation with our clients, and I have felt that is very important. That said, we're in a position which is awesome. We've got so many leads coming in that's not realistic for when I want to step out of the picture, whenever I want to take breaks. If no one sees the leads, nothing happens with them. And right now that person is me. And then once I've had that conversation, I'm struggling with how to make that seamless transition to say, you're going to love working with Jonna Weber Real Estate, and here is your highly capable professional agent that you'll be working with. Okay. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I get that. So, okay. So I'll just ask the hard question, right?
Yeah.
I feel like Oprah.
No, it's good. I love Oprah. I miss Oprah. The show.
Whatever happened to Oprah?
She's doing okay.
I'm sure she's great. Love to be in her shoes. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Are you afraid to hand them off to your team members? And if you are, why do you think that is?
Oh, I think every entrepreneur has a sense of control, probably sensitive sense of control, and making sure that everything reflects well. And I'm a pleaser. I absolutely know that. And I can make myself miserable if I know the client's not having a great experience. And so that's really important to me. So that has been a work in progress. And I would say that there has been some fear there. And also, I don't feel that I've had the systems and processes tightened up enough with lead generation that I feel completely comfortable doing that with most people that, are contacting us at this point.
Okay. So when I'm sure you have passed stuff off to other people on your team though, right?
Oh yeah, no, and yeah, we're doing more so all the time.
Okay. So in doing that, have you seen any tangible evidence of the clients not being satisfied by other people on your team? Or is it just in your mind, do you think?
I've most of the time it's been wonderful, and maybe the things have been done a little differently than I would do them, but um I feel most of the time it's been great, and I'm not backed out completely. I'm asked, they if it's a lead that I know or that I've spoken personally with, I get CC'd on the emails and so forth, so that I have some degree of just kind of knowledge of what's going on. I'd like to get away from that eventually, but I can think of one specific instance with a client, and this was a couple years ago with a different team member that I have on my team right now, that he said, and this was a repeat client, and I just couldn't be everywhere at once. And I was experiencing growing pains. So another agent was helping them, and he said, she's great, but she's not you, Jonna. We wish we could have worked with you, and so ever since then, I've pretty much held on to all my repeat clients, and I love doing that. But long term, it truly doesn't fit in with my professional goals of where I want to take this business. And I need to make some changes at some point, so I'm not so tied in from a time standpoint of, having freedom for when I spend my time.
Okay. I'm going to pause for 1 second. They keep slamming my door. I'm going to go tell them to quit slamming the door. Hold on one second.
Okay, cool.
Sorry. Okay. We're back.
Yeah.
So you feel like you're the bottleneck. So is part of your process, all the leads go to you first? Like, they don't go to anybody else. It's always to you first.
For the most part, we are very referral based and personal type of real estate business. We don't buy leads or anything like a lot of agent teams will buy Zillow leads and pay for those. We do have some random leads that jump onto our website and start looking at properties, and those I absolutely, right now they still go to me, and then I round robin them out to our agents, and I trust all three of them implicitly. They're awesome agents, and that works out just fine. Other than, I'm thinking out loud, I should probably have a system where it automatically goes to an agent versus me having to catch the lead, look at it, refer it out, get on the computer. Note to self.
Yeah.
But if it's a personal referral, a lot of times they're not a past client, but they're coming from another agent referral, or they find me through Bigger Pockets, or they have listened to some other media I've been on, that sort of thing, where they've called me specifically. That's usually the case. And then that's when I have that initial conversation. And then I place them with the agent that best fits their criteria for what they're looking for.
Okay. So, as far as your role, and we kind of hit on this, but, I'm sure that you have like an end goal, like for your role in the organization, like your role right now, but then what does that role look like for you down the road? And then having, like how involved do you want to be in the business, I guess is what I'm asking. It seems like you're pretty involved right now, but is there a point where you want to be able to be pretty hands off, or, what does that kind of look like for you?
Yeah. It's tough because I love my clients so dearly. And as much as I would love to be in the trenches and out and about all day, every day, I think one of the things that's in my heart, and I think it's become more crystallized through this crazy 2020 that we've had, is that life is short, and there's certain goals and dreams and things that I want to experience while I'm healthy and get to go do so. And my husband and I are about to become empty nesters in a year. And I love being a business owner. I love working the business, growing the business. The camaraderie I've developed with my team is very important to me, and I really love and respect these ladies. Um, but long term, I need to create a business model in which it's not dependent on myself for every minute decision, and to be able to do the majority of my business from afar if desired. Mm-hmm. We plan on traveling more in the future, and then spending some concerted time in Hawaii after we're empty nesters. And, that's a time where I see myself being able to have very specific hours that I can devote to coaching my agents and touching base with clients and keeping in touch. But I'm not running out for that 8 p.m. house that needs to get shown on a Tuesday evening.
Right. Okay. I've got some ideas here based on some of this. So the biggest question I have, though, now that we're kind of walking through, like, everything seems like it revolves around you right now, which is, fine, because it's your business. And that's usually how these things start, right? Like, we're the face of everything.
Right. But I couldn't imagine why I wouldn't want to, be John and Weber real estate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is rebranding an option for you?
I thought long and hard about that when I first started growing a team. And it is an option. I personally haven't been convinced it's necessary, because as a real estate coach, I have reminded me there's all kinds of companies that are named after, Les Schwab, for example, that are named after people that have just done just fine scaling. Mm-hmm. If that was instrumental to the integrity of what I want to do, I would definitely be open to it.
Okay.
And maybe it is. Maybe you'll tell me it is.
Well, I think it just depends on what you want too, Yeah. So interestingly enough, like, I went through something very similar, and I think we might have talked about this a little bit before, but I was stuck with a branding problem too, because I had a company that, it was my husband and I, and it was branded under him. And so I was really in this spot, where it's like, well, now he's no longer part of this, but I have this company that's based on the brand, with, him. And so what do I do? Like, do I rebrand it? How are people going to know that it's me still, same people, same everything, just know him, right, but that brand had so much, like, longevity to it. Like, we'd had that brand for a long time, and that brand was reputable and people knew about it and stuff like that. And so I too was kind of faced with that. What do I do? Like, do I rebrand? I've already put so much into this other thing, and people already know it and everything, but he's not part of it. And, if people are calling and they want to speak to Danny, it's like, they're never going to speak to Danny because he's not part of it.
Gotcha.
So it created a lot of confusion, I guess. And it's not quite the same situation, because, this was like a marital, kind of weird thing. It's just you here, right? So,
yeah.
But with us, I ended up rebranding, but it was not easy. And if we'd have stayed together, I would have kept that. I would have kept his brand, and I did keep it all the way up into the divorce. So, what I'm saying is, I don't think that you need to rebrand, but I do think that there are things that you can do to kind of take the spotlight off of just you exclusively. So I have a few ideas that we can kind of talk through about that. But before we do, I did have one other question. So when and we kind of talked about this, but I just want to make sure I understand the process when a new client comes in. So, you get a lead that comes in, and I understand, like, some people are reaching out to you personally because they know you. It's another connection. Some of them are from, the website or whatever. Mm-hmm. But after all that happens, what is the process at that point? Like, this lead comes in, you decide who's going to get it, then what?
Then I usually do an introductory email to the client with the agent that's going to be working with them. And
you're doing that?
I'm doing that.
Okay.
And no, I don't have an assistant right now.
Well,
that might be an aha. I actually put an ad out for a part-time assistant again 2 weeks ago, and I just got so overwhelmed with resumes and all the chaos with the kids in the house and everything over the summer that I said, forget it. I'm going to wait till the kids go back to school next month. Because I'm working out of my home like we all are.
Yep.
And so, yeah, no, I do the introductory email. If they come in, if as a client, we have a lot of relocations, like we talked about at the beginning of the call, which is amazing. Got a relocation coming in tomorrow that called me yesterday saying, we're going to be in town this weekend, and they were interviewing agents and on the phone. And so, of course, I wanted to be able to serve them. So I said, I will personally meet with you, and so that's kind of an example of what happens. And so we typically meet with a client together, the agent and I, for coffee and go over paperwork and go over our process. And then in the best case scenario, the agent and my clients are off and running for looking for a home. Okay.
So at that point, you kind of step back then.
I step back and we'll work with them. Again, it's a quality control thing. I do review offers before they've gone into the other side, and I also will assist with hearing about repairs, negotiations along the way, and oftentimes we'll pop over at the closing right now.
You're going to closings too?
Sometimes.
Okay.
And I hear often that, it's not just, they're not just wanting you, they're wanting the process that you represent. So I'm working towards fine-tuning that process as much as possible. And I think once I get that clearer in my mind on exactly what I will be and will not be participating in, I think that will probably improve on how we project that and set the expectations with our clients.
Okay.
I'm kind of processing that out loud as I say that, but
yeah,
I think,
that's kind of where my mind was going. So, okay. So here's what I'm thinking. First of all, I think that, right out of the gate, you could be setting this expectation with these clients that you're going to be super involved. And so that could be an issue possibly, because you are so involved at the very beginning. And so it gets harder. Like the more you're involved at the beginning, then they just have this expectation that you're going to stay super involved in it. So there's already that expectation. And then you feel like probably that you have to do all those things, because again, they're expecting it.
Well, you start as a solo agent and you do all the things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can't be 20 places at once. And that's just the reality.
You can't, especially, if you plan to grow and scale, like you have to be able. So the only way to grow and scale is really through really good systems and processes, and then having the right people in the right seat, obviously, that you're comfortable handing that stuff off to. So what I'm hearing is, I think I can tell like you love your team and you're super passionate about them and wanting to grow them and everything. But I feel like there's maybe a lack of trust there for some reason. Or I don't know if it's a lack of trust or maybe it's more of a control thing, but there's something there that's preventing you from fully letting them take ownership of the role. And it could be creating, and they probably wouldn't say anything. And I might not even be right about this, but that could create a little friction too, just because they can't take full ownership of what they're doing. And so they're like, well, when is she going to step in again? Is she
I've heard that. I'm sure they're all listening right now. I've heard that. So
knowing
you
that
have to trust. And I think, Yeah, no, absolutely. And we're fairly new as a team. My longest agent has been with me for a year and a half, and the other two are less than a year. And so that is a building trust kind of thing. That's for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
And are they cultural fits or are they more of a skill fits?
Cultural.
Okay,
And
good.
that has been what's been so critical to me. One agent, she's amazing. She got licensed last year. And I have one agent that's been licensed longer than me, and two that have been licensed quite a few years less than me. And so, particularly with our newer agents, we're really working together to make sure that we're continuing to learn real estate as much as possible, all the nuances, but it's getting there. It's been better, I would say, better with every closing that we have.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yes.
So, so maybe think about that. Just think about the control and the trust, like that whole thing, because if they're a cultural fit, then the trust should be there. And maybe they don't always do things exactly the way you would do it. If you want them to follow the process completely, that's one thing, like you can't deviate from this. But one thing to remember too, is that you want to have room for innovation too. And so if they do give them the freedom to do it. And if they do it, if they mess it up, then there's an opportunity, there's a teaching opportunity for you, as a coaching opportunity to develop them, okay, you did this was the result, and kind of like dig into like, okay, well, why did you do it that way? But then the other side of that is if they do something a different way, and it could be a better way or a more efficient way, and just being open to that, being open to new ways of doing things. And that's a hard thing. Like I struggle with that too sometimes because, like I get stuck doing this stuff and it's like, no, this works, and sometimes we know because we've been doing it for so long. And so that's like the other thing about being open. It's like, you want to encourage them to be open and come to you with ideas and stuff, because that's where innovation happens. And that's where changing the process and stuff, like they found out some new software and it's like, well, that would eliminate, all these problems and shorten this process up a little bit or whatever. But they have to feel comfortable, having those ideas and trying them out and seeing how it goes, and then if it works, great. If it doesn't work, great. Or if they bring something to you that for sure isn't going to work because you've done it before, then that's another coaching opportunity. Like, okay, I understand that you did it that way, but I've done it that way in the past. And this is why I don't do it like that anymore, because X, Y, Z, and lay it out so that they know, so they're heard. But then it's also that opportunity, like, this is why that doesn't work, based on your experience of something. So everybody kind of wins in that scenario, but that builds trust too. And that's like one of those things that you can do to help build that trust and release some of that control, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Good idea.
So the bigger thing, I feel like there's some like gaps here and some processes and stuff too. So, one of the things is maybe thinking about some kind of automation for that lead intake. And you kind of talked about that as you were talking through.
Yeah.
I saw that idea like come in your head, like, okay, I could just, there's all kinds of stuff that'll like round robin those leads out for you.
Right.
So that you're not having to like touch your hand, like every single lead, it's done, and then you just deal with the ones that come straight to you. But the other thing is,
which is still 90% of them though. So I got to fix that.
Yeah. So I was thinking like even taking a cue from like a real estate investor business setup is maybe having a manager type person,
A what person?
like a lead manager, like
a lead manager.
Yeah, like what I would have in my investing business, a lead manager. Okay. So it's the same thing. They're basically managing all the leads that come in. So anytime a web lead comes in, they handle it. They touch the leads first and then they deal with it. So if you don't want to automate, maybe having a person in place, and this person could, like my lead manager did a lot of different things for me because she did some admin stuff too. She helped manage, stuff around the office. She managed the leads. like doing these intro emails and stuff, like, you shouldn't be doing that. A lead
I
manager
know.
do that though. They do it for you, so it's
Right.
still done, but you're not actually doing it. Um,
No, that's actually part of the job description when I did put an ad out a couple of weeks ago
oh,
was
good.
part of that was systemizing that specifically. And even I work with a lot of other agents from around the country, which is really growing, and we've been going after that. Like for instance, all these California agents, which we love you if you're listening. We love the referrals, and so they'll send us a referral, and then we have to take the time and get the referral forms all correctly filled out and signed and sent back. And just there's a lot of logistics with going back and forth with leads. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Having somebody that's just dedicated and focused on dealing with those leads and managing all that might be really helpful for you.
And
The other
managing my
thing,
CRM as
yeah.
well to
Yeah. Some kind
put
of
the
like,
tasks
yeah.
in there.
Yeah. Like a management system to take care of all that would be helpful. Something else too, I was thinking is a couple of things. Another one is like is there somebody in your organization that you could start to train to be like a team leader? So it would be that way, because what I'm thinking is like it's you and then you have all these other agents, right? Like how many other agents? Four?
I just have three
Three.
agents. Then I
Okay.
have one person that's a couple people that are just on hourly or per transaction kind of basis. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe if you had somebody, like maybe look within your own organization first.
Mm-hmm.
And then if nobody kind of meets that criteria, maybe looking outside of that, but having somebody that's almost like a COO or manager type person, somebody that you don't have to go, you're not managing all those people on your team. You just have this one person that you have trained to do your job exactly the way you would do it. And then you interact with that person and then they manage everybody else underneath. That way you're not spread out between, all these people. You're still the leader and you're still up here, but then you've got this kind of like a barrier in between that. And that takes some of the burden off of you with like the day-to-day, like managing of stuff, to where
Gotcha.
it takes you to that higher level where you're thinking about you're working on your business and not in the business. They're in it. They're doing all the, busy work and managing and like all that kind of stuff. And you're just sitting up there managing that one person.
And yeah, absolutely. And I just like to clarify on the lead generation, I like to bring in business. I
Mm-hmm.
love that. I love, I love the satisfaction. I love knowing that the client's going to get a great experience. I can go to coffee and meet with people all day long and talk through real estate on that level. It's the nitty gritty, after
Right.
that
And that
if
could be
I'm
your
doing that,
role.
I can't go meet that next person to grow the business, right? So
Right. But that's the cool thing about the way you have it set up. If you keep your brand, then you can be the face of your brand. You are the person that's just going out, getting clients, meeting with clients, doing coffee, whatever. But then there's that transition to the team part of it. So that's the other thing I wanted to talk about too.
okay.
Because
Yeah.
that could be your role, if that's what you like doing. And that's what I always tell people, find the things that you like and that you're good at in your business and just do those things and delegate, like make sure you have systems and processes and then delegate all those other things out. And it really does help having that middle, like that general manager kind of person. And I don't even know if you call them that. I would say like a team leader or something like
Gotcha.
that. It's
Well, and
like,
how many isn't there I've heard about like you can only manage so many people effectively. Like I don't know if it was 3 or 4 when you look at like organizational charts.
mm-hmm.
And right now I've got my team, and then also I should throw in I'm a certified mentor at my brokerage, and which is great, but also feeling responsibility and wanting to make sure that those new agents do what they want. So that's additional time. So effectively, I'm probably kind of managing even more than my team. And it's just a lot of little pieces. And I feel like I'm not being as effective or as efficient as I should be with that.
Yeah. And I think putting people in place to do those things, as you can break those things off as the team grows. You've got a team leader, so that person's over your agents. And then you
Mm-hmm.
have another person that's over like your marketing stuff. And then
Mm-hmm.
eventually there's a person that's over, you know, just dealing with transactions or something, however it looks within your organization. But as you see one side growing, putting people in place to like having management in there, because yeah, you're right, you can't manage tons of people, and especially they're all doing different things. If you can kind of group those together, like here's my listing agents and they're being managed by this team leader, and then here's my marketing team and they're managed by this person. And it doesn't even have to be a lot of people, it's just taking some of that off of you and kind of delegating that out a little bit more as time, as you grow, obviously, like not right away, but as you identify people in the organization that could be a good leader, develop them into that leader, and that takes more off of you, in the future. I was thinking also, having a process for this QC stuff, like you say, you QC a lot of the stuff. Mm-hmm. And to me, it seems like, that in itself could be a process, and is that a process that you could hand off to somebody else on the team?
Short answer is yes. I just have to think that through, and that, if I was a whole brokerage, you'd have a designated broker that might be doing something like that. But right now it's, John, do you have time to review this? And it is on a Saturday evening or whatever. So I'll pull up my emails. I'll look at everything before it gets sent out, that sort of thing. And, there's the flip side. I could just say, oh, you're on your own. Let's just go do it. That sort of thing. We're not quite there yet. And so that probably leads me to the fact that I need to just continue to tweak those systems and processes and have accountability that they are adhered to when it comes down to brass tacks and the things that I think really, really matter.
I think
we're not selling someone a 10-cent item. These are important financial transactions.
Yeah. And so that being said too, there could be a gap in their training, even maybe, like if they're not confident enough about it. So they're having you review contracts, I assume.
I should clarify. They're not having me. I've asked to review.
Oh,
that's on me, not on the agents.
Oh, okay. So that's again with the control thing.
Absolutely. If my clients are out there listening, they know that we care. We just want them to have the very best experience.
For sure. You know what? Oh my gosh. And I just had an idea about that, actually. Have you thought about having a, maybe what you need is a dedicated customer experience person on your team? And that is literally all they do. They're in charge of customer experience. So they are in charge of making sure that that customer is 100% satisfied all the way through that transaction. So that's all they do. All they do is they're communicating with those buyers, letting them know, if there's negotiations that need to take place or, whatever that looks like, that could be a possible solution too. Just having somebody that's like white gloving them all the way through the process.
Yes. Well, I mean, that's one of the things that we talk about. We provide white glove service. So that's.
Yeah. And so if you've got somebody dedicated to that, like, do you have everything you need? Do you have any questions about anything? I'm here. And they work closely with the agents, to make sure they're all on the same page, but they're interfacing with that customer throughout the whole process, keeping them posted on what's going on. Okay, we were going through inspections. Let's go through that. Are you satisfied with the outcome of the negotiation? That kind of thing. Just like constantly holding their hand through it along with the agent, and then doing something special for them at the end or whatever, whatever your like final piece of that process is. Do you give them a closing gift at closing or something, or,
yes. And I have, my marketing person is great at some of that sort of thing, but I haven't given it's usually me thinking of everything
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
then going, well, will you touch base with this person? Will you send out a review? Will you do this? Let's do this for the closing gift. And it's, I recognize as you're saying that it's more mental brain work for me right now because it's not consistent. It's not written out as part of like, this is what we will do for every.
Right. And I think if you do that, and that's to go back to what I said earlier, like having those very good systems and processes in place, that that kind of helps with that control thing, because it's like, I know that here's the process and I can hand that off to that person. And then at that point, you're just managing, making sure they follow the process, right? It's not, telling them what to do or anything. It's like, here's the process, do the process. It works. And if they mess it up, then it's like, you didn't follow the process. And then at least at that point, like that's a different conversation with them. Cause it's like, okay, well, you messed that up. You didn't follow the process. What happened? What happened that made you feel like you needed to deviate from that process, and see, kind of where that goes. But if it's there, you can't control everything, and it's hard because we want to. And I'm just as bad, trust me. This is something I really had to learn the hard way. And, even at the risk of getting burned, I trusted somebody in my organization and they burned me and it sucked, but, I did it again and I learned from it, and it's just like, okay, well, here's what I learned from that and I'll never do that again, whatever, XYZ was. And so, but I trusted, and that was like the whole thing, I trusted this person, they were in the organization and we built that trust and everything. So it's a hard thing when it's your own business because it's your baby and you don't want to really let everything go. But at the same time, you can't grow if you don't let go, because you can't do it all yourself. And that.
Right. No, yeah. No. And I think as entrepreneurs, we have those minutes like, okay, should we just kind of shrink again and just kind of do what you can do and still, still decent and it's all good. But I know in my heart, that's not where I want this business to go. And I love the opportunity to enable others, bring them along on the journey and enable them to get their, what they need out of it and want out of it financially and be working in their strengths. And there's a lot of satisfaction in that.
I agree. The other thing, I went to your website and I looked at it and I had a few suggestions about that too, in line with the whole, the handing off process that we talked about. So
Great.
You handing off to the team. So one of the things, I had written it down, and then when I dug a little bit, I actually found I was going to suggest having like a get to know the team kind of thing. And I clicked on something on your site and I went to your YouTube channel and I was like looking at the videos.
This week we did something.
And I saw that and I said, oh, darn, she did this. Like I was thinking about this, and 2 days ago, there was a video, Meet Barbara. And so I was like, okay, this is good. But one thing was that was hard to find. It wasn't on the homepage of your YouTube channel. So that
okay, it just came out. So I'll communicate that to my marketing manager.
Yeah, because it was nice. Like, in the channel looks great, I think. I like that you have it segmented too. So you had your neighborhood videos, was a segment, and then you had the market report. Those were all segmented out. So maybe segment another group of like, here's our team, and have those interviews down there.
Okay.
Just because I didn't see it right away. It took a little digging to find it because I was like, I wonder what other videos she has, and so I was clicking, kind of had to go through to find it.
Great.
But the other thing too was, and that's awesome.
And so we'll do the next one, the rest of the team here.
Yeah.
The subsequent weeks. Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. And that was actually kind of how I handled the branding problem too with our site. I just turned it into this is our team, meet the team. It's a team here. It's not just one person. There's several of us working behind the scenes, on everything. And so we did kind of the same thing. We did like a media thing, a social media post with like, meet, so and so, and talking, with a picture so people could see their face, and then, a little bit about them. And we had asked some questions, just kind of like a little interview style thing.
Okay.
But I would also suggest on your website, where you have Meet Our Agents, putting some of that info in there so that people, if they don't go to the YouTube channel or see that, at least they can see those faces and get to know them on the site, on the website.
Okay.
I would also suggest on your website, right when you go to the site, above the fold, so that's the point before you start scrolling, you have like really nice picture of like an interior of a house, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe instead of that, I would put the team right there, front facing on your site, like a group picture, like get a really nice photo of your whole team. That way it's not just your face on there on the front, it's everybody, so that they know, like, it's not just Jonna, it's like all these other people on her team.
Okay.
So that they know there's like a team of people right there in front of them.
Right. Oh, I like that. And I wouldn't have said I liked that 2 years ago, but I'm in a totally different space. And yet probably leads me to thinking about even our little logos and branding on our social media. And right now it's my face.
Yeah. I would maybe change the logo up and not have your face on it so much.
Yeah.
I mean, keep the name, but maybe think about just changing that up a little bit to show that it's, it's not just you. It's your company, but you have a team of people. And I think the more you can say that and show that, because then that starts like a familiarity thing. So it's like, hey, but I've got like this great team of people, and it's always us. Like, we're the Jonna Weber team, it's
right.
It's all of us. It's not just me. And so that could help alleviate some of that pressure of like, it's all on you, like you can be the face of it up here, going out and meeting people and stuff like that. But you want people to understand it's not just you. There's all these other people that work with you that were personally handpicked by you to work in your organization, that were trained by you personally. And the more you can show like that kind of relationship with them, I think might help with you feeling like you have to be the only one dealing with the clients all the time,
Yeah. Okay.
Just another opportunity to do that.
That is super helpful.
Yeah. And then the other thing too, you had the video on YouTube. So your intro video, which I thought was really well done. It was really nice. But I think there's an opportunity there in a video to walk through that process. And so that's another opportunity. So they understand the process, but two, they understand that they are going to be passed off to another agent. It's not just you, like, I will personally do this, and that, because then you're putting it out there and then they're expecting it.
Gotcha.
But if you kind of maybe use some of that language that I talked about, like these people were hand selected. It's my hand selected team, personally trained by me. We have worked together for X amount of time, whatever, just something so that it shows like you were very hands-on, specifically recruiting and training these people because you want them to fit your culture, your organization, how you want to be represented, and talking about that, and like talking about the people on your team, and maybe even doing like a video with like snippets, like showing, some of the agents, like as part of that process. So, when you work with us, we'll set up a meeting and then like show like maybe a clip of like, one of the other agents meeting with a client. So it's not always you doing all these things. It's other people, and here's this person like working on the transaction, or that kind of stuff. And then here's another person on the team, like doing a walkthrough of a property with the seller or buyer. So yeah, like the process, but involve people in your team in that process video too, so that there becomes this familiarity. Oh, okay. Yeah. She's on her team. Like she's part of that team kind of thing might be
Right.
helpful.
Right. And I think it helps. I think it's a win-win too for the team as far as feeling ownership and, um, more inclusiveness
Mm-hmm.
and stepping up as far as being an integral part of the team.
Right. And
Yeah.
trust again, too, helps build
Right.
trust on both sides.
I like it. Yeah, I'm definitely open to that. And I think I'll be implementing at least three of the things that you just mentioned right there.
Awesome. Hopefully that's helpful. And then just again, like I said, reviewing something that might be helpful too is just, I don't know if you've done this before, but like, have you dumped everything that you do in your business out on paper?
No.
Okay.
I think
That
I'm
is
scared
life
to.
changing.
Even bookkeeping and yeah, it's like
I
yeah.
challenge you,
Okay.
and
Okay.
I've done this before myself too, so I know that it works. Um, take a pen and a paper, like old school, just sit down and write down every single thing that you do, no matter how big or small it is. All of it.
Okay.
Don't leave anything out. Everything you can think of, kind of look through your planner if you have a planner or anything like that, just to trigger your mind. Look through your emails. What are you doing every single day? Like lay it all out. And then what I did was I started grouping things. Like, man, I'm doing a lot of like financial stuff over here. I was balancing the books, and I was doing collections on my notes and rentals, and I was like managing their escrow accounts and like all this kind of stuff. And as part of the dump of all the stuff out of my head. And then I realized, like, okay, that's a lot of financials. So I grouped all those tasks together, and
Mm-hmm.
then I made sure I had processes for everything. And then I hired all that out. And then I took another piece, and it's like, okay, this is all kind of like marketing stuff, you know, and why am I doing these tasks, and grouped all those things together and then hired that out. And so it really helps you see, one, like what you're spending your time on, and are those things necessary? Can you automate any of that stuff? And can you delegate any of that stuff? And a lot of times the answer was yes, and then I also went through and I put stars next to the things I like doing, so it's like,
Right.
here are things that I'm doing that I actually like doing, not because I'm good at it, because like I'm good at financial stuff, but I don't really like doing it, But I think for me, I put myself in a box thinking, well, because I'm good at this, I have to do it. But that's not the case. Once I was able to delegate that out to somebody else, she does a great job. Now that we've worked out the kinks of the process, everything's great now. And it's like one less thing for me to worry about. And so, I chose not to keep that. But then there were certain things that I chose to keep, the star items. It's like, no, I really like doing that. I really still want to do that. And then I knew that I was okay with spending that time doing it, but everything else had to go. But just dumping it out really helped. You don't really realize, I think, sometimes how much you're doing,
Right.
and then it's like, God, why I wasted that much time doing that? It's crazy to see. And if you can put a time amount on those things too, that's even better.
Oh my goodness. I know. We've talked about that.
Mhm.
Time tracking. And I've
Yeah.
never really done that for multiple days
Do that for a
before.
week.
Do it for a week.
Yeah.
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 Um,
And actually do that for a week, and, even maybe have people on your team do it. I had all of us do it on our team at one point, because I was feeling like we were being not very efficient. And so I just said, hey, we're all tracking our time. And, I said, I'm not doing this to like be a control freak or anything, but I really need to see, where are we spending our time? And are there things that we're doing that aren't necessary? Or is there some way that we can either cut that out or automate it, or, delegate that to somebody else, not just me, but even people on the team,
mhm.
and then it made me realize, like, my acquisition guy was struggling because he was doing all this stuff, it's like, you need help, and that's when we decided to bring in a lead manager. So it kind of helps you make those hiring decisions too, when you're delegating all that stuff out. It's like, have the systems and processes, figure out what you can get rid of, what can you automate, and then go.
Yeah. Oh, that gets me excited actually to have so much more. I mean, I'm working on clarity, but I have other things I want to pursue also, and there's no room mentally right now
Yeah.
for that. And so absolutely. And I see some big holes in the most obviously right now. I think there's one, specific role, whether that's an admin, whether that's some kind of lead manager, something that helps funnel some of those things and helps eliminate me being the bottleneck for most things related to everything in the business.
Yeah. And so I think dumping that out could help because it'll free up your headspace too. It feels good. Like when you write all that stuff down, you're like, dang, I'm doing all that. It's like 3 pages worth of stuff, and it's like, some of this is silly. Like, why am I doing this? But you'll see that. And at least then you can make a good decision, okay, this definitely, like, all these tasks can be grouped together and I can hire somebody to do all that. And imagine how much time you're going to save just from doing that, or even if it's something, it could start out, maybe it's not a new hire, maybe it's delegating more to the people on your team already, and that's part of that time tracking thing too. It's like, well, that person, isn't really, reaching their full potential. They don't seem like they have enough to do, maybe I can put some of these other things off on them. So using what you have already, but then identifying when they're when it's too much and then letting that off.
Okay.
So. Yeah,
for sure. Because it's especially when I'm paying by job or by hour or whatnot. I mean, I know that if I'm taking my client out to lunch, that's where I need to be and not shuffling papers. I absolutely know that.
Right. So hopefully some of that was helpful. And
it was very helpful.
Awesome. So
good to get outside perspective. Sometimes a lot of it I know, intuitively, and I've heard, but it's hard to see it in your own life, in your own business on an everyday basis.
That's for sure. I struggle with that myself too. That's why I have a business coach. Because sometimes oh yeah, that's so, yeah, I should definitely be doing that. And we know, we just need to be reminded, I think. And then just, I think, like you said, looking things from a different angle too. It's so hard when you're in it, you don't see it.
Right.
But thank you again for coming on. I won't take up any more of your day, but I'm so glad that we got to talk one-on-one, us, and hopefully give you some things to think about. And I'd love to follow up with you in a few weeks too, and just see how the implementation of any of this stuff went, if it worked or, how's it going for you and that kind of thing. So.
Absolutely. I would love that. And I'm going to take a few of these items. I'll probably follow up with you afterwards, say which ones I'm going to implement, but definitely that brain dump and then incorporating the whole team into a lot more of our marketing and branding. I think those are no-brainers for me to start implementing right away. So I just appreciate you being available to help entrepreneurs like myself.
For sure. Thanks again. You want to tell people how they can find you?
Absolutely. As you know, we're in Boise, Idaho. I'm Jonna Weber. I manage Jonna Weber Real Estate, brokered by eXp Realty. If you have any questions about real estate in Boise or about eXp Realty as a brokerage, I would love to be a resource for you. And you can find me at jonnaweber.com. And my direct cell phone is 208-608-4884. And look forward to hearing from you soon.
Well, thank you so much, and hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too, Melissa. This was great.
Thanks.